A common question I get from people is how much XRP do you need to be financially independent? In order to answer a question like this, we actually have to answer two other questions. The first question we have to answer is what is the price? The second question we have to answer is your goal. I know here in the XRP community, a lot of people are investing in XRP because they want it to be their exit strategy. It's their retirement plan. In this video, I want to cover off what those brackets are going to be because there's layers to financial independence. And then we're going to jump into Excel where I'm going to actually map out just how much XRP you need given on a time scale. Because I do have price predictions, I'm going to be giving them later on in this video. You'll be able to see where my mindset is at, and depending on how long you're willing to wait, less is going to be more. The longer you can stay in the game, the further your XRP is going to be able to take you, because the price is going to continuously go up throughout the next decade. So first things first, when it comes to price, I know a lot of people want the price to be extravagantly high. You see these crazy price predictions all over Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. You see it here on YouTube as well. I myself am actually a believer that the price will hit triple digits and eventually quadruple digits. The thing I have an issue with is the timing. XRP is not going to move because you as an individual need it to, and it's not going to move because other content creators have made very public price predictions and bets with people that it has to hit a certain price within this year or in the near future. It's just not going to play out that way. XRP is going to move when the institutions are ready to adopt it. At the end of the day, there's nothing that you, I, or anyone else can do about that. Yes, when we do have the first stages of market adoption, I do believe we're going to see a triple-digit XRP. As we progress towards full adoption, I think we'll see a quadruple-digit XRP. And as we move in through the later stages of our lifetimes, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that we see a 5-digit XRP. But I don't believe that any of this is going to happen in the near future. When we get to the Excel sheet, I'll show you guys what I believe is going to happen. Of course, I reserve the right to be wrong. These are just my personal predictions. Now, when it comes to financial independence in itself, I want to give you my own personal opinions on what the brackets of financial independence are. The very first leg of financial independence, it's simply going to be an emergency fund. It's a certain amount of money that you've established, anywhere between $5,000 and $50,000 for emergency use only. This is not money to be used on leisurely activities. Ideally, you really don't ever touch the emergency fund, but it's there if you need it. The second leg of financial independence is what I like to call the parachute. Around $500,000 is when you'll start to experience that if you need to bail out, let's say that you're in a career you don't like, let's say you're in a career where you get laid off and you can't find future work. $500,000 is not going to last forever, but it's going to last long enough for you to figure out what's next and still have enough left over so that you're not starting from scratch. The real magic happens right around the time you start to hit $1 million. $1 million is the next leg of my financial independence layer. I like to call it self-sustained poverty. It's kind of ironic, it sounds funny, but think about it. If you had $1 million and you were able to withdraw 4% per year, statistically speaking, the 4% withdrawal rate is guaranteed to succeed in infinite amount of scenarios. So if you're pulling out $40,000 per year on a $1 million portfolio, you could live on that indefinitely. I call that self-sustained poverty because living on $40,000 for most people would actually put them at or below the poverty line. But what's nice about this, and again, I would never actually encourage anyone to follow through with this, it's the peace of mind to know that you're not going to be beholden to the government. You're not going to rely on government assistance for your food, for your housing, for your electricity, for your transportation. You won't be happy on $40,000 a year, but because it's self-sustainable, it adds that layer of relief in the back of your mind that you know things are going to be okay, even if you have a couple down years. Again, you don't like your job, or you get laid off, or there's a lot of uncertainty in your life. Maybe you're going through a bad divorce and you've got to start from scratch. Having that $1 million, or in the divorce's case, you might have to walk away from some of that. Maybe it's $500,000, but it gives you enough of a runway to come back. Now, where I think the magic really starts to happen is $2 million. For me, $2 million is the first leg of actual financial independence, what I like to call the early stages of retirement. At around $2 million, you could safely withdraw about $80,000 per year, and that's essentially going to give you you a simulated middle class income that you could live off of indefinitely. Now, you're not going to be living like a rock star on $80,000 a year, but you are fully self-sustainable. You can transport yourself, live in a decent neighborhood, and you can even travel a couple times per year as long as you're being humble and not living beyond your means. Now, of course, at this time, when you have this level of wealth, new opportunities do become available for you. You can use that money that you've accumulated to put it to work to generate actual passive income. This passive income can really hedge against you even needing to sell your positions at all. If you have a $2 million portfolio and you can generate a 4% yield off that, you could be living off $80,000 without ever having to actually sell any of your positions. If you've been watching my videos, you know with XRP in particular, I've been very bullish on the staking opportunities that have recently become available to us. I'm personally testing out Firelight and Doppler myself. Before I can give them a proper endorsement, I want to make sure that they work. I'm running tests on them with my own tokens. If I'm satisfied with the result and I find that they are secure and they are stable, I will report back on this channel and give them my endorsement. But because both of these options have just become available to us, I'm not quite ready to do that. But I do want to plant the seed. I want to get you thinking about staking your XRP, getting that yield on it. The yield's not going to generate a whole lot right now when XRP is sitting at around $2 and maybe you don't have that many tokens. It's not going to be passive income that you can live off of yet. But even if you can get your tokens staked, get it started, you'll see that it will generate some passive income. And when we get down the line and we go through this spreadsheet here in a minute, you'll see that you could in fact live off those tokens and never have to sell a single one. So $2 million, that's the beauty mark. If you're ready to quit your job, retire, switch lanes, or just be done working in general, you want to live that leisurely life, the $2 million mark is where it's going to start becoming a possibility. But there is some unfortunate realities with this $2 million leg of early retirement. Because you're still living in the middle class, you're going to be having middle class problems. It might not matter to you as much now when you're still working, but I guarantee once you do retire, some of the small things are really going to start eating away at you. Things like dealing with heavy traffic in busy cities or being in neighborhoods where you don't feel as secure as you should be. These are things that are going to be nagging at you, especially as you age and you get into your older years. You're not going to want to be dealing with a lot of the problems that come from living in middle-class urban environments. And that's what takes us to the next level of retirement. That's going to be upper middle to upper class retirement. That's going to be starting around the $5 million mark. At that point, you're going to have enough income that you can move to a higher income zip code. You can choose the climate you want to live in, and now you can even start dabbling with having multiple properties. If you're someone who likes wintertime, you like skiing, you could get a cabin or a condo somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. Maybe you've chosen Lake Tahoe, Salt Lake City, somewhere out in Colorado. You might not be living on the resort, but with this type of money, you could get a nice casual condo. And if you really wanted to sweeten the deal, put your personal belongings in the closet that you lock, and when you're not there, you can rent out your property on Airbnb and make some passive income on that property while you're not staying in it. These are options that become available to you as you increase your wealth. You don't just have to pick one city. You could do this in a few different areas. Maybe you want to have a spot in the Rocky Mountains. Maybe you want to have a spot down in the American South, somewhere in Florida, somewhere in North Carolina, something like that. And then maybe have a city place as well, somewhere in Chicago, Boston, New York. These are the things that become available to you once you cross that $5 million mark. And lastly, the final leg of financial freedom, and this is the point where I feel like you've beaten the game, and anything you get beyond this, it's just going to be like bonus points or like vanity money. It's going to be the $10 million mark. Around the $10 million mark, you're no longer really beholden by what people on YouTube call the matrix. I know that a lot of us have matrix fatigue. I have it myself, but there is some truth to it. People with large amounts of wealth do get to play by a different rule book. If you spent some time here on the XRP side of finance, especially on YouTube, you've probably heard about people saying that you don't have to sell your tokens at all and that you can go to banks and get loans against them and live off of the loan. It's income free. You're not paying taxes on it. And it's a way for you to basically kick the tax bill down the road indefinitely. This sounds really cool, and in theory, it should be easy to do. But there's a problem with that. If you go to the bank and they don't give you the loan, then you can't participate in that. There's something magical that happens once you start to hit a certain level of wealth, and those banks are going to start considering you an option for those big loans that you hear so much about from some of the bigger names here on YouTube that make finance videos. I don't think it's going to work for you very well if you go there with only a couple $1,000,000. It could, not saying it couldn't, but keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed. Anyways, once you've got $10 million, you've basically beaten the game of life. Think of like a swimming pool. If your goal was to get wet, it doesn't necessarily matter if you're jumping in a swimming pool in your backyard or an Olympic-sized swimming pool or a lake or even an ocean. Wet is wet, right? Jumping in the pool is good enough. That's what $10 million is. Having $20 million or $30 million, beyond that, it's all just vanity points. Your actual lifestyle, it's not really going to change much once you cross that final threshold. And I really want to focus in on that $10 million mark because as you'll see when I go to the spreadsheet, I think it's very possible for a lot of us here in the XRP space to get to that $10 million mark. You might have to wait a while. It's not going to happen necessarily on the timeline you like it to, but if you just hang with me, I think you'll see that this is definitely a possibility for a lot of us here. Now let's jump into the Excel sheet. So you'll see here, I've got 3 price predictions. I believe by April 31st of 2026, we are going to see a $10 XRP. By December 31st of 2030, so that's just about exactly 5 years from now, I'm filming this on December 14th of 2025, 5 years we'll be looking at a $100 XRP. And I believe that by December 31st of 2025, we'll be looking at a 1,000. Now, I do want to make sure that I say, just for the record, I think these are loose estimates. I'm not saying it's going to be that exact price on that exact day. And I actually think it could potentially move faster than this, but we don't have any control over when the major institutions are actually going to do mainstream adoption. It's going to happen when they're ready for it, not when you and I are ready for it. So these are going to be my very conservative estimates. I would actually be very surprised if any of these 3 price estimates do not get met by those target dates. So think of these as more like an end date and not like an exact target. So diving straight into here, if you're looking at your retirement goals, by April 31st of this year, as long as you've got 500 XRP, you've got $5,000. You've got that emergency fund. Personally, I really hope that you guys aren't spending that, but it's there if you need it. If you've got 1,000 XRP, you've got $10,000. Again, not enough to live on, but if you need it, it's there. Things really start to change, however, when you get to around $50,000. In my opinion, that's still part of the emergency fund bucket. If you've got student loans that you've just got to pay off, or maybe you're renovating your house and there's things that you have to buy with cash, I could see an argument being made for liquidating a small position of this just to pay those off, with the understanding that you're going to continue dollar cost averaging back into XRP once whatever you need to pay off is paid off. Of course, if you've got 10,000 XRP, by April 31st of 2026, it is my belief that you'll have at least $100,000. I do want to say as a disclaimer, I'm not a licensed professional. None of this is financial advice. All of this is purely my opinion. I'm an entertainment channel only. Meet with a licensed professional before making any of your own financial decisions. And please always do your research. This is just my opinion. So if we go through all this, I don't think a lot of us are going to be hitting our financial goals next year. It's going to be a lot of relief to see XRP hit $10. I know I'm ready for it. I know a lot of you guys watching this video are probably ready for it too. But I do want to make sure that we all understand something, because I know that there's people on YouTube saying that they're expecting XRP to hit a certain dollar amount by the end of this year. As great as that would be for some of us, if you're late to the game, if you just started buying XRP, you know, if we have a $1,000 XRP, I hate to break it to you, but you've missed the boat. It's over for you. You know, if you've got 500 XRP and it really does go to 1,000, again, I'm not saying that I think that it will. You know, that would put you at $500,000. That would put you into that parachute mode. Anyone watching this video that has less than 500 XRP, if it really did hit $1,000 in the next couple of weeks, which I don't think it will, that would mean a lot of you would miss the boat. You wouldn't really be able to participate in this. However, that being said, if things take a little bit more time, you're going to be able to dollar cost average over the next couple of years. I think that by December 31st, we're looking at a $100 XRP, which means if you had only 500 XRP at that time, that would still accumulate all the way up to 50 grand, which would be the upper limit of my emergency fund bracket. If you had 1,000 XRP, you'd be at 100,000. And if you had 5,000 XRP, you would be at 500,000. So again, remember earlier in the video, when I was describing that, if things aren't going so well, if you don't like where you're at professionally, or unfortunately you find yourself out of work altogether, you get laid off, maybe AI has replaced you. I mean, these are situations that are going to happen to a lot of people in the next 5 years. If you've at least got $500,000 in XRP, staking it, of course, would be even better. You've at least got a safety net here that'll give you enough wiggle room to figure out what's next, bounce back on your feet, and still have enough left over before you end up running into situations that you can't recover from. And then, of course, if you've got 10,000 XRP, congratulations, you can fund your own self-poverty for the rest of your life by December 31st of 2030. Again, stake those XRP tokens so that you don't have to sell them. I do think that we're probably going to be expecting anywhere between 3 and 5% on the staking opportunities through Firelight and Doppler. So if those do pan out, if you think about it, within 5 years, you could be self-financing your own very, very frugal version of financial independence. It would be miserable to live like that, but, if things are really bad for you, I could understand. Now, if you're willing to wait, which again, on this channel, we're not selling our XRP. At least I'm not selling. I can't stop you guys, but I'll at least try to pull you back from that ledge if the best that I can. If you're able to hold on to 1,000 XRP for 10 years, let's say you just, for whatever reason in your situation, you just can't buy that much. We all have different jobs. It's a judgment-free zone. You can still be a millionaire 10 years from today. All you'd have to do is hold 1,000 XRP tokens. Moving this down the list, if you've got 2,000 XRP tokens, 10 years from now, I think that you've got $2 million. Remember I was saying about middle class retirement. Yeah, you might not be living like a rock star, but you could at least fund your middle class lifestyle, become the king of your neighborhood. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I live in the Midwest myself. I'm not trying to live in New York City or San Francisco or downtown Chicago. I'm happy enough being in the neighborhoods. $80,000 is something I myself could live on forever. And it's something I definitely think about when I'm looking at these types of spreadsheets. It's like, okay, if I had $2 million worth of XRP on December 31st of 2035, staking, making me income, I think I could live very well off that, and I wouldn't have to do any of the things that you're seeing on YouTube, like going to the bank and getting these crazy loans to live an income-free lifestyle. I'm not saying that can't be done, but I don't think these other YouTubers are being honest about how difficult it is to actually get a bank loan and do some of the things that they're advertising. It works for the ultra-wealthy. I don't think it works for average people. Again, if I'm wrong about that, let me know, but I don't know anybody who's actually doing those things. Moving on, if you've got 5,000 tokens, you're looking at $5 million. That is going to be the ideal financial retirement that I was talking about earlier. That's when things really can start to get fun for you. You can start exploring different lifestyle choices that you wouldn't be able to make otherwise. And of course, if you've got 10,000 tokens, you hit that 10 million mark. I would consider this right here beating the game of life, $10 million. You can get more than that. It's not going to change your lifestyle by a whole lot. At least I hope not. Maybe inflation will get worse than I thought. Point being, I mean, if it really did get that bad, if you're holding XRP, you're going to be winning that anyways. Now, before we wrap this up, I just want to show you guys one more bracket, because this is where everything really starts to come together. I can't stress enough on this channel when I say not to sell the tokens and to get them staked. This is really what I'm talking about. December 31st of 2040, I think we could very realistically be looking at a $10,000 XRP. If all you ever did was buy 500 XRP tokens and you just held those throughout the years, I know 15 years is a long time. If you've got a newborn baby, that kid is graduating high school by the time this plays out. So like this isn't happening tomorrow. But if all you ever did was buy 500 XRP, by the end of 2040, you're looking at $5 million. And if you're someone who has 10,000 XRP, you would be looking at $100 million. I know some of this might sound crazy if you're brand new to XRP, but a lot of us in this space have been talking about this for years. I don't think this is just conjecture anymore. I think this is really playing out in real time. We've seen the ETFs go live. XRP got clarity when they won the SEC lawsuit. Now the Clarity Act is going to be passing any week now, which is going to mean that other tokens can also now become commodity assets. You're going to start seeing XRP, Flare, HBAR, Chainlink, Stellar Lumens, all the other fun tokens that we all talk about on this channel are all going to be rising with XRP. I think XRP will do the best, but I think that all of them are going to be adopted institutionally at some degree. There's going to be a large pie. I think it's going to get cut many different ways. I think XRP and Chainlink are probably going to get the biggest of them. As we begin to wrap up this video, I hope that you guys really enjoyed going through that spreadsheet and you also got to see a little bit of an insight of how I think about things. I really do believe all of this is possible for us. It's everyday people like you and I that can transform our lives with XRP. You just have to be patient and you have to be willing to wait things out. As far as contributions go, I still think that we've got some time. I don't want you guys throwing out the kitchen sink or making financial decisions that are going to put you into jeopardy. But I do want you to start thinking of ideas that you can increase your income. Maybe that means getting a side job, maybe doing some side gig work. Start expanding your opportunities to make money so that you can purposefully buy more XRP and take advantage of this tremendous opportunity that we've got. I do believe that XRP will be hitting $10 in the next couple of months. So this $2 window that we're at right now is rapidly closing. Once we do see that price hike, you'll still be able to dollar cost average in, but your operating input will get slashed by possibly 80%. Right now, $100 can get you roughly 50 tokens. In a couple of months from now, $100 might only get you 10. So I really want you guys to be thinking about that, but again, don't overextend yourself. As long as you're able to keep dollar cost averaging in, we've probably got about a solid 5 years before things really start to ramp up and get crazy. We're in this for the long haul. Just chill out, sit back, relax, and let these things play out. If you got the tokens, try out staking yourself. I think that we can get some passive income really rolling on this thing in the pretty near future. It might not be a lot in the beginning, but this is what I believe the final stage of becoming financial independent. It's getting that money out there working for us. But with that, you guys, I think I'm going to close things off here. If you made it this far, go ahead and like the video. It'd mean a lot to me if you could subscribe. And if you want to help this channel grow, the number one thing you can do is share the video with a friend. The number one metric YouTube looks for when boosting a channel is how many times it's been shared. So that's the number one thing that's going to help me grow this channel. If you love the video, I'd really appreciate it. With that, I have some videos that you might enjoy if you're having trouble getting your tokens staked or if you're unfamiliar with how cold wallets work in general. Check out these two videos that are going to play after this one. It'll help you guys get started, and in general on this channel we're going to be doing a lot of educational content to help bring everybody up to speed that might be getting into XRP recently as of this year. And with that, I've been Andrew Fillion. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.